I'd like to call the meeting to order. Our first item is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Molso, will you read our mission statement?
The mission of the Marshall Public School District is to educate, support, and prepare all learners for success.
Thank you. My thing isn't moving now.
Mine isn't either.
There it goes. I think.
Okay, it's moved us ahead.
Sorry, we back to
Minute. There we go. Before we move on, I'd just like to welcome Mr. Bill Swope back to the table. He's on the mend, so it's good to see you. And
I'm on the right side of the grass and I'm blessed, so
Thank you.
thank you. Moving on to our next item is approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Jeff and seconded by Sarah Brink to approve the agenda. Any discussion or
I'm
corrections?
like losing bits of this.
If not, I'll call for the vote.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
There, the agenda is approved. Our next item is the Tiger Spotlight.
We have two people today we're going to recognize. Our first one is Jill Schroeder, and Dion has a presentation for Jill. I did tell her she has to have a song and dance prepared. So. Jacob, wait till you see what we were waiting for from you.
It's my honor to share with the board and the audience a little bit about Jill. Jill's starting her 10th year with the district in her position as the district office administrator / facility coordinator. As you all know, Jill wears many hats in the district and is part of many committees. I just wanted to share some of those because I don't know that everybody realizes everything that Jill does for the district. Jill's our facilities coordinator. She works with not just the school district, extracurricular activities, community services, but a lot of our outside organizations. And as Mr. Peterson would agree, this can be a pretty big puzzle to put together as we get into our fall and winter activities with all the different activities going on and lining up custodians and all the needs. Jill also helps, actually handles our vehicle checkouts, making sure that there's vehicles available for activities, field trips, our type 3 training, which is very important as you have to have that training to be able to transport students. Jill is also in charge of our crossing guards. I'll say she's in charge of our crossing guards because she does the main part of that. Finding crossing guards, making sure they have the equipment, and training, and then many a times you'll see Jill out doing the crossing guard because we can't find somebody to fill in a position, and she takes it on. Jill also handles our free and reduced applications, which are now called the educational benefit applications. And as everybody knows, we've talked about it. Those applications are harder to get in now that lunches and breakfasts are free. But Jill's done a great job getting those in. Food service, Jill takes a lot of work off my desk when it comes to food service. She helps with and handles the annual snack and lunch review. And then every 5 years, we have an MDE audit for food service program, and we're lucky enough that that's this year, and Jill will be a huge part of that. Jill also helps custodians and IT with their orders and POs. She handles our workman's comp. And I shared last board meeting how our workman comp premiums are coming down. That's a big part to Jill and her work on that. the ASBO International Certificate for the Finance Award that we get for the, I think we've gotten for the last 12 years. Jill's been a huge part of that and putting that together and submitting. Jill's also part of our Safety Committee, Wellness Committee, and Transportation Committee. And just some of the other accomplishments that Jill has done. Last year, she completed the Marshall Leadership Academy. She also is a huge part and helps to organize the Pursuit of Excellence, which was last weekend. And last, I think everybody knows this, she is probably one of the best happy birthday singers we've ever met. So I am, and the district is very lucky to have her part of it. Thanks.
You do have to come up front though, Jill, to get your certificate, and maybe we do the picture by the marshal.
You see the smile on her face. She always has her smile on her face, even when she's on the phone.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Sorry.
A couple of them. That would be fun. I bet they were. That'd be cool.
Thanks, Jill. Thank you, Jill.
All right, and I get the privilege of recognizing Jacob Zimmer this afternoon. Jacob is a senior at Marshall High School who was recently recognized for becoming a member of the Macy's Great American Marching Band. That's a pretty cool, pretty big deal. So with him today is Dr. Larry Peterson, the band instructor, who I'm assuming had something to do with that nomination. I don't know how that came together, so maybe you guys can explain that to us. We recognized Jacob at the last board meeting. Actually, it was in Mr. Grunig's update of what was going on with activities, and we thought that's pretty exciting to get that kind of recognition. Certainly our band and our students do a great job, and want to make sure we're recognizing that. This is something that we're excited to have Jacob come here and just share this presentation with him. And I would like to hear a little bit more about what the Great American Marching Band is and how that came to be. If you guys wouldn't mind just coming up and sharing that with us. So, congratulations, Jacob.
The Great American Marching Band is an activity that it's annual, and to make the band, it's a kind of strenuous audition process. You have to prepare a solo, like a classical solo that demonstrates your musicality. You have to videotape yourself marching and playing as well. And so we did a lot of that during band camp, where he would come in early and we'd work on a lot of things. I sent that out to several students that I thought might be interested in it, and Jacob was very enthusiastic. He's like, this is something I feel like I can really do. This is something I feel like I could contribute to, and he was all in, and he made sure he was there and practicing, and was very forgiving of me when I got distracted and had to work on other things, and stayed there and practiced. And so I'm just really proud of the effort he put in to really prepare that audition. We sent that audition in, and they were very enthusiastic. I think was it 24 hours, 40 hours?
I heard back 5 days after.
Oh, so I thought it was quicker than that. Time
flies.
Time flies. But it was very fast. I thought it was going to be a couple of weeks before we hear something, but it was much sooner than that. They were very enthusiastic about his participation, and we're just very proud. It's a big deal for someone to earn a national recognition like that. So for our community, our band program, our school district, I just think it's a real banner of pride that we should take a part of that. That comes with a lot of cost to the family. So we'll definitely be trying to get some fundraisers going for him to raise that money in a short amount of time. That's coming up. We're less than 2 months away from that now. So it's just getting really exciting for him. His mom will get to stay right downtown New York City. He'll be staying in New Jersey, I guess, and busing in every day. But it'll be about a 4 or 5 day event for him, so you get a real fun time and see all the sights in New York City as well. But I'll let him talk to his experience with that whole thing. But as his band director, I'm just really proud of his efforts and his commitment to the program. So,
Jacob, what instrument do you play?
I play the trumpet.
Anything else you want to share about it that Dr. Peterson didn't share with us?
Yeah, I mean, it just really paid off. Going in some days like an hour and a half before band would even start, and seeing how it paid off. Like, I'm really glad because it got to a point where we had submitted an audio recording, but not a video clip of me playing. And I think I found out the day after that we needed a video, and I was probably this close to being like, I'm just not going to. But yeah, I couldn't have made a better decision to show up that day, put in the work, and yeah.
That's great. Well, congratulations. We're all very proud
How
of you.
many, how many kids are in the band, or will we be able to pick you out on Thanksgiving morning? Or?
Mom's gonna put like a big hat on his head or something.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be one of the taller ones, but yeah. So
Where to next year, Jacob?
I am thinking about going to USD
Majoring
in Vermillion for mathematics.
Good for you.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
We do want Dr. Peterson, if you'd be in the picture too.
Congratulations.
We do, it's gotta be a higher frame, yeah. Sitting it works well, but yeah.
We noticed with this crew, we need a little taller frame for our backdrop. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations.
Next item is our public forum. Is there anybody from the public want to approach the board? Item number 8, our presentation. Beth, welcome.
You guys want to present?
They came just to hear it though. Or to hear about the bar grant later.
All right, Evan, which one? It doesn't matter? Okay. It's ready? Or no? There we go, got it. Okay. Huh, we're good? Okay. And this one. Maybe. Oh, I'm hitting the wrong button. There we go, that's why. Okay, super. So I am excited to be here just to share some data with you. We'll start with our data from last year. So it says 23-24 data review, but it's really our data from the 22-23 school year. But I do have some updated data from some of our fall benchmarking that we did this fall. So we're going to go ahead and start with who are our students. So remember now, these are our kiddos from last year, but when I looked at the year before, our demographics are very similar. They haven't changed a whole lot. And this is just taken from the MDE, the Minnesota Department of Education website, their report card. So you can see the percentage of English learners, special education students, as well as free and reduced meals, and then homeless students as well. So here are our Parkside students. Similar at Southview, the middle school. You can see the English learner goes down quite a bit from Southview to the middle school, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, but a lot of that is due to many of our students exiting out. It usually takes approximately 5 to 7 years, they say, until students are proficient. So if they start with us in kindergarten, they should be exiting out by the time they're third, fourth, maybe 5th grade. So that's why we see that number drop quite a bit. And then our high school numbers as well. So let's get into the actual data. What I decided to start with this year is start with the statewide data, the assessment that everybody takes in the state of Minnesota. As you know, it's the MCA, or the Minnesota Comprehensive Assessment. You can see it's broken down. We'll start with our MCA reading scores. They take it all the way through 8th grade, and then again in 10th grade as well. You can see in 3rd grade, we are above the state average for the reading MCA. This is super exciting for us. When we saw this, we were very excited about it. This is my 20th year in the district, and to be honest with you, I can't remember a year that third grade was above the state average. So this is a direct reflection to all of the work we're doing at the elementary level. So it's super exciting, and the teachers don't want to hear me say this, but I'm excited for testing this year just to see, because our kids are coming through the system now that have had that direct and explicit phonics instruction. So this was our first cohort where they had that for their core reading phonics in third grade last year. And you can see we're over 2 percentage points above. So that is super exciting for us to see those results starting to come through. Do we have work to do in the other grades? Yes, we do. And we're aware of that, and we are doing many different things to meet the needs, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But very exciting for third grade reading to be above the state average. And as we look at math, some exciting results in our upper grades in math as well. You can see we're above the state average in grades 7, 8, and then you can see in high school they take it in 11th grade for math. So it's a little bit different than the reading one. And also, as a district, we are above in MCA math. We're having more of a focus in math, especially at Southview. Pete can attest to that with getting our guided math going. We have more interventions going on at the middle school here too. So I'm excited to see that as our kids start working through the system and having emphasis in both reading and math, because they're both very, very important. So some exciting results when we think of our MCA in math as well. Our science, again, we often do very well in our science, and they only take the science MCA in grade 5, grade 8, and then high school. Usually it's their sophomore year of high school right after they take biology. So then another thing we look at, which is a nice report to have now that we are a few years out from COVID, they can start comparing comparing students' data. For every student, they're able to figure out, what type of level should they have based on their previous level. And you can see in math, we were above the state average. So we look at the kids if their achievement level improved, which is of course what we want to see. We're way above the state average there. Or even if they've maintained we're above, then the achievement level decreased or does not meet. Of course, we want that to go down. So that's a little bit different than the other two. And so we want to be below the state average in that one. And we are. So it's exciting for math. You can see that our kids are doing well. That we're starting to see some of those results. And again, in reading as well, we had 19% of our kids where their achievement level increased, which is exciting. So now if we look at the access assessment, this is the assessment that all of our multilingual learners take. So any student who's been identified as a multilingual learner in the district takes the access assessment. I say in the spring, but the testing window goes from about January till the end of March. And all students take it. They're tested in the 4 domains of English language proficiency, reading, writing, speaking, and listening. And then in order to exit, they have to meet the criteria of having a composite of 4.5. And you can see 3 of the 4 domains have to be 3.5 or higher. And the test is a very difficult test. You can see our students did phenomenal. Again, we often have many students that exit out. Last year, district-wide, we had 49 students, which is a very good percentage, and it's a very high number, whereas the year before, we had 45 students. And you can see, just like I was talking about, Southview had 31 students, which is great to see. And then the other schools had some as well. So that's a direct reflection of all the hard work all of our teachers are doing. Of course, our EL teachers, but our classroom teachers as well, because they're supporting the students too. So some exciting results there. Then again, with the access assessment, MDE is able to look at how long have the students been in the country, and then they're able to project based on how long they've been in the country, how many years they've taken the access. Is it their first year? They take into consideration the 5 to 7 year range on how they should do on it. And then they have a target for them at the end of the year. So you can see at Parkside, we had the vast majority, almost 80%, it was about a little over 70% of our students that reached or went past their target. So that means they're making the types of gains we want them to see, to be proficient in the English language. Southview, the same. We were right at 60%. You can see as a district where we are, and then statewide. We're way above statewide for grades 2, 3, and 4. So that's exciting as well. The middle school here, you can see we are a bit lower than our district average as well as the statewide average. oftentimes at the middle school, we have, not often, but we do have many newcomers that come to us in middle school. So when you look at them, you know, they maybe have never been to school before. If we have a newcomer that comes to us in kindergarten, it's a little different than if they come to us as an 8th grader. And if they've had no schooling in between, there's a lot of catch-up work, as you can imagine, or there's a lot of catching up to do, I should say, for our students. So continuing to work with our middle schoolers as well as our high schoolers, you can see. We are seeing gains, which is exactly what we want to see in all of those areas. Then going a little bit closer home, our NWEA, it's not statewide, but it is a national test, of course. So there is a grade level RIT for each grade level. You can see as a district, we set a goal. We look at where we were at the end of last year. So in the 21-22 school year, we had made 64% of our students in math were proficient. We add 3 percentage points onto that. That's where the 67% comes into play. And in math, our actual last year was 65% of our kids were at the grade level RIT, and that's all students. All students take the test. And then reading, you can see where we were there as well. The exciting part about our NWEA is, as a district, we've always set 70% will meet their growth. So similar to the Access Assessment, NWEA looks at what they scored in the fall. They give them a projected score for the spring based on what their grade they're in and what they scored. We always have a 70% goal, and I can't remember the last time we've met that 70% goal. In math, we had 85% of our kids meet that goal, which is super exciting. That means our kids are progressing, they're moving in the direction we need them to. And in reading, we had 75% of our kids meet their goal. So some exciting data and information there. Now if we go to an assessment that we are doing just at Marshall Public Schools, other schools, of course, use the DIBELS assessment, but the DIBELS, this was new for us last year. It stands for Dynamic Indicators of Basic Early Literacy Skills. This actually is also, we just found out this summer, an approved MDE screener for kindergarten through 4th grades, and we started last year. So we were excited about that the screener we're already using is approved by MDE. So with the READ Act moving forward, we can continue with the DIBELS assessment. So we were excited about that. This is our K-4 data. So like I said, we use it all students kindergarten through 4th grade. On the left, it's the beginning, on the beginning of the school year. On the right, it's the end of the school year last year. And the exciting part really, you look at the red are our students who need intensive support. Those are our kids we're very, very concerned about. So you can just simply look and you can see our number of red. Of course, we want that number to go down. We want our green and blue to get bigger because green are at grade level, or at benchmark, I should say. The blue, they've exceeded the benchmark. So you can see each of the grades and the progress the kids made from the fall to the spring is very, very exciting. And again, it's that direct reflection of the systematic and explicit phonics instruction that we're having in each of our K-4. Actually, we have it with pre-K too. DIBELS doesn't go down to pre-K, but we have really great reading, pre-K through 2nd grade. All of our teachers use that for phonics instruction. They also use Haggerty for the phonemic awareness, and that is what these tests assess. At 3rd and 4th whole group, they use what's called 95% group. And you can see they are seeing some great results as well. So it's really exciting to see that the hard work is paying off because it's been a big change for us. And this is exciting as well. So we had last year, was our first year in DIBELS. Of course, this is our 2nd year. So what I wanted to do is look at our cohort of students and see last year in the fall, what % needed intensive support to this year in the fall, because you're looking at the same group of kids. So the class of 2035, those are our 1st graders this year. You can see last year's kindergartners, over half, 60%, and I remember talking about that in our work session. Over half of our kids needed intensive support last year. You look at that same group as 1st graders this year, only 34%. So we've cut that in half. That's huge. So what that tells us as well is not only are they getting it and they are retaining it. They're not losing it. We're not seeing that summer slide with the phonemic awareness and phonics skills, which is awesome to see and super exciting. You can see the other ones as well. Many percentage points lower, the number of students that need intensive support. Now, do we have kids that still need intensive support? Yes, we still have 34% of our kindergartners, 24% of our, 34% of our first graders, 24% of our second graders. That's where our skill-based groups come into play. We used to call them our guided reading groups. No longer do we have guided reading groups. It's skill-based groups where our kids are then getting where are they missing? What phonics skills specifically are they low in? Do they need additional support? That's when the classroom teacher's giving them that support. They will also get a double dose if they're in EL or potentially Title I as well. So we know because we have a percentage of our kids that still need help, but it's exciting to know that it's working and and the kids are retaining it. So areas to celebrate. We're above the state average in math areas for all academic progress, which is exciting. I mentioned this first time ever, we met the goal of 70% of students meeting their NWEA math and reading. And then, I've said this too, our systematic and explicit phonics instruction is working and our kids are retaining their skills, which is exciting. I'm excited we started this in pre-K 2 years ago for those kids just to start to work up, and when they take that MCA, what is that going to look like? It's gonna be great results. That is what I have. We'll talk more about it during our work session, but do any of you have any questions?
Thanks, Beth.
Nicely done, Beth. Thank you.
As
Thank you.
you mentioned, we'll dive deeper into it at
We
the
will.
work session after the meeting, so thank you.
I get back.
Next item is the consent agenda approval.
Motion to approve.
Second?
A motion by Bill Mosel and seconded by Sarah Runcie to approve the consent agenda. We'll call for the vote. It's kind of slow, isn't it?
I'm not getting it
Did you
either.
get?
Oh, there we go.
Yep.
It came through.
That is approved. Next item is the board forum. Any reports or updates?
We had an executive committee meeting last week and just two topics we talked about. First one was kind of the status with the school resource officers and the interpreting the new laws that were enacted here this last session. And then the other one we talked about is just the process we want to get going for the superintendent's evaluation. So we'll be starting that, and you'll be seeing that coming up here in one of the future meetings.
Thanks, Bill. Anybody else? Next item is a first review of policies 413 to 03 and 413 to 08. Oh, I get it. Anyway, any discussion on those?
Not in there.
Item 14 is our second review of those policies listed. Any questions or discussion on those? Item number 15, building assets and reducing risk grant recipients, our BAR contracts.
Yes, this was in as a discussion item. Typically, we might put this kind of thing as a consent agenda, but we just wanted to draw extra attention to this because we're pretty excited about this for Southview and middle school. I know that's why Pete and Paul are here this afternoon, but this grant will make some pretty big changes just as we look at process and how we evaluate student progress at both of those buildings, and just processes around the teams where we look at data related to not just academics, but also behaviors and attendance and those kinds of things, refining some processes and making more systemic approach to that work at those sites. So this grant is significant over the course of 3 years. It's $240,000 per site is the value of this grant that MDE has granted to us through some of the legislative changes from this spring. So we just, like I say, wanted to have a discussion. I'm just going to draw extra attention to that and say thank you to MDE, and certainly looking forward to our BAR work with them. I know Paula had her first kickoff meeting today. I don't know if Pete's had his just yet, and I had a contact with their oversight last week, and this is going to be a good process for us.
So do we have a cadre that takes the training, right? From each school?
Yeah, there'll be a group of teachers at each site that goes through that training. Middle school will focus on one grade level, like we did the high school when we started. Southview's gonna look a little different. The elementary process looks a little bit different than high school. So elementary, they actually would encourage doing a little bit in multiple grade levels. So I know Pete and I have talked a little bit about that, probably the approach we'll take at Southview.
So have you gotten teams together? Who's going to step up to the plate for you?
Literally just had the meeting at 1:30 this afternoon.
Yeah, it's been a lot of very rough conversation at this point, but no final
Okay.
details yet. They're just assigning the coach to us. I don't think everyone's even met the coach yet and such. So they'll be doing the same work with different. It's going to look a little different because elementary approach is different than a middle school or high school approach, but doing the same conversations around how we look at data and how we apply that to the different buildings. So.
Are we one of the first ones to do elementary, or has there been others around the country that have already done it at the elementary level?
I think there's only like 5 within the state.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we're probably one of the first districts to have elementary through high school.
Yeah, not a lot doing that, so that's kind of fun too to go through that process.
Pete, congratulations on your leading the math stuff at your school. You were instrumental in that, I know.
Any further discussion or questions or? Moving on.
That's a huge grant.
It's a huge grant.
It is. Action item approval of changes in the hockey program. I will make a motion.
Second.
Any further discussion?
This was a later change on the agenda. This is, we got this from Mitch. It's looking at the co-op with our hockey, both boys and girls, and just the arrangement with that. So dissolution takes out what's there currently, and then looking at the new teams to be approved to be part of that group with us. Like we've done in the past.
Very good. The motion has been made by myself and seconded by Bill Swope. Any further discussion? I'll call for the vote.
What's going on? There we go. Came in. There we got it.
And that is approved.